the most recent NBA Coach of the Year, Monty Williams.
To talk about everything that's eating at me. I didn't think we understood the desperation they were going to play with. And you couple that with the turnovers that we had tonight, it's a recipe for what we just got. Again, in a desperate situation, they came out right out the gate with force and grit and sped us up. And we were about as unorganized on offense tonight as we've ever been. And that was one of the reasons why we threw it around the gym tonight. But we just did not have the focus and determination that it takes to win a game like this on the road. But we will have it the next time we step on the floor.
You had said before how the guys can sense that when it's not going right and can turn that around.
Yeah.
At what point were you like, whatever we're telling them is not translating once we get back on the floor?
I don't think there was a point because I still felt like at halftime we were down 15. If we could have just gotten a few stops and capitalized off the stops, we just kept turning it over, or we'd miss a wide open shot, or we take a tough shot. I thought we took some tough shots tonight. And we didn't understand what they were doing in their pick and roll coverage to pick them apart. I thought DA had some advantages down there, and we just didn't find him enough. And then there was not a lot of 0.5 and getting to the basket to go with some determination tonight. That kind of stuff happens, but I didn't expect it off of the last game. We understand and know what it takes to beat this team. We've done it, and now we got to do it for 48 minutes. We've been spotty at best on this floor.
Monty, are the 22 turnovers for you guys or the 6 you were able to force for Dallas more concerning when you look at the turnover balance?
I think they had 16 steals, if I'm not. I mean, those are live ball turnovers that just put your defense in flux because you're not on your man. And then when teams are pushing it at you like that, especially this team, you may have 2-on-1, and that leaves somebody else open. So that's uncharacteristic of us, especially with our backcourt. Those guys typically don't have that kind of turnover night. So we're going to have to be better, and we will be in that category when we step on the floor the next game.
It seemed like with the trapping Devin was getting early on, you guys were able to handle that offensively, and somewhere in the second quarter things started going wrong.
Yeah.
Offensively.
I got to look at the film, but I still think that when they, we've handled that all year long. When teams blitz book, we got to be able to either knock down the shot or attack the paint and find somebody else. We've been doing that all year. So we'll look at the film and be a lot better. They tried to get it out of Book's hands a number of times. And we just have to be better in that environment.
Coach, with the three-point discrepancy, did you feel like your guys were kind of running themselves off the three-point line a little bit, or what would you attribute that to?
Well, when you have that many turnovers, it's going to cut down on your three-point attempts. And then when you don't get the stops, they had 2 30-point quarters, so you're not getting enough stops to play in transition where you can get threes. But I thought our offense was not organized tonight. We didn't run our stuff with purpose the way that we did the other day.
What do you feel like they've been able to do to effectively defend Chris the way that they have, especially in the last couple of games?
They're putting bigger guys on him. They're trying to pressure him in the backcourt. But, again, we've seen all that before. We have different guys who can initiate offense. I didn't think we allowed other guys to initiate just to get Chris off the ball and then get him in a live ball situation.
You mentioned 2 or 3 times in the playoffs that there's a lack of recognition of how desperate the other team's going to come out. As a coach, how frustrating is that with a group that's been together, and how do you deal with it?
It's frustrating anytime you lose. You have to address it, and then you got to move on. You can't hold on to it because you're going to play the biggest game of your life in a matter of 48 hours. You know what I mean? Thankfully, we have a group of guys who understand it. They were talking about it before I even came in there. This situation has to be embraced. We work. That's why I'm a proponent of the regular season, because you work your tails off all year long to have home court, and it will pay off in this situation.
Monty, the cadence of the series has been every other day, and you get the extra day here. Does that help your group at all?
I think it will. We need to sit on this. We need to understand that team is a really good basketball team, and we also need to understand how good we are. But we're good because we play a certain way, and so I think the time in between games will allow for that.
Coach, you said how last year's playoffs showed that when they take Devin and Chris away, other guys have got to get shot. How are you feeling about how the other guys?
I mean, you look at Mikal only had 7 in 30 minutes. I thought DA was effective tonight. We didn't get Jay enough shots, But you look at how many possessions we gave him. We don't have enough possessions to create shots for everyone else. That's something that we got to be a lot better in, and we will be when we step on the floor the next game.
Monty, to Ken's question, given the success you guys have in these kinds of game sixes in the last couple, does it surprise you at all that this time it would look this differently?
I don't think you can keep comparing all that stuff. It doesn't matter. Like that's a different series, different games. You can't always say because this happened like this, it should happen this way. Every series and every game has its own identity. This one doesn't feel good because we didn't play well tonight. It doesn't matter what we did last year in a Game 6. It's our first time in a Game 7 with this group, and we have to embrace it. We get to go home and do it in front of our fans, and it'll be the first time that I think we can close out a series on our home floor, and so we have to embrace that.
Coach, you said how you know this group and you know how they react to things like this. So I'm not asking you what your gut is because we got a couple days in between. But what did you sense from the locker room when you came out?
Just a realization that they played harder than us, and we typically, don't allow that. And then 2, we understand that we turned it over and we did not have the focus. Our concepts in our defensive coverages tonight was nowhere near average. They just kept going. They want to get to the paint, and you just saw them go down the paint a number of times tonight. So I sense with our group, we understand that we'll embrace it. All of us will own what we need to get better at, and we'll be better.
Thanks, Coach.
We've heard.